Dave Martin, CBS.
Could you talk a little bit more about the airstrike and the claims of civilian casualties up around Manbij? You said that you now have, I think you said internal and external sources that some civilians may have been mixed in. One, do you have any estimate of the numbers of civilians who may have been mixed in? And two, was that possibility known before the strike and a decision made that you know, the military objective was worth the risk of civilian casualties?
In terms of the size, David, I've seen different estimates in the initial reports that came in. That I think the largest we saw in the open press, it was kind of a wild speculation towards 73. I think was the number that I saw in one report, all the way down to perhaps 10 or 15 in different reporting as well. So that's part of what the investigation is going to be, because the estimate was pretty wide. The range was pretty wide in terms of who we think might have been a civilian in that strike. And secondly, that's the part about whether or not somebody made a decision to hit that target. I don't know. That's part of the investigation. They're going to figure that out. And so I can't talk about that yet. And that'll be part of the investigation process.
Everybody's seen the estimates of civilian dead from the external sources. What do your internal sources estimate the number of civilian dead at?
I'll just say that it was much less than the high end that we saw. Like I said, 73 was the high end of what I saw in the open source. It was much less down lower toward the left end of the scale, the lower end of the scale. Approximately, you know, in the what they were concerned about was somewhere between 10 and 20, but I can't be specific, and that's part of what the investigation is.
Can I follow up on David's? Can I just clarify with you? Are you now saying that the U.S. military, separate from open source information, separate from press statements made by outside groups, that the U.S. military itself does have internal information suggesting to you, in fact, there were civilian casualties? You seem to be saying that.
What I specifically said, Barbara, was there was internal and external reporting. The internal reporting may encompass some of the external reporting that we saw, where people were suddenly concerned because of external reporting that we saw. The specifics of an internal report that says, yes, we think there were civilians in that strike, I haven't seen that, and that's, again, part of the investigative process that we need to let work through. But there were reports that came into the command, both internally and externally, that said we may have cause for concern, there may have been civilians involved in the strike, and some of that was generated from internally. We saw some of the external reporting that was going on.
Wait a minute, I'm even more confused. Do you have any U.S. military information intelligence that suggests to you there may have been civilian strikes, or is your only source of reporting essentially still outside open source reporting?
I have nothing to give you today on whether or not there was any internal coalition military information that said there may or may not have been civilians in that strike. I just don't have anything to give you on that right now. I don't know, and it's with the unit that's conducting the investigation.
Can I also just clarify, I'm very sorry, are we talking, there were multiple numbers, but there were also strikes in Manbij over 2 days, and some suggestion that there were civilian strikes on both, civilian casualties on both days. Are you simply talking about the first day of strikes against that convoy, What missions exactly are under investigation? Review.
That strike is the one I'm talking about right now, the one on the convoy. That's the strike that we're talking about.